A big what's up to everybody. Welcome back to the channel. After 82 games, about 7 months, and a Ben Simmons, James Harden mega deal swap blockbuster trade, we have finally made it to the playoffs. Congratulations to you, madam and sir, for sticking with the program up to this point and supporting the squad even when they did not deserve it, testing our patience immensely over the last few months. It has been such a crazy year for our Sixers, but it is finally time for some playoff basketball. And I, for one, am excited. The Philadelphia 76ers enter the playoffs as a wild card team that honestly, when looking at it, can be a blessing and a curse. Who really knows that at this point? On one hand, they have one of the most offensively potent starting fives in the league, but on the other hand, the personnel fit on-court meshing issues, especially with the bench, and just chemistry overall leaves much to be desired. The Sixers are a grit, grinded down team that loves to beat you with their size and with free throws, of course, the Merchant Bros, right? But what makes them deadly is that they have a multitude of X factors that when hot can score in bunches. The only gamble and problem is they're not even consistent with that. Life as a Sixers fan. In my humble opinion, and simply put, the Philadelphia 76ers playoff run, or this run, will depend solely on its two superstars, Joel and James. Now this might A, not be what you really want to hear, and B, the obvious answer, but relying on bench production to carry most of these games will be our doom if that's the case. At this point, I am comfortable with Joel Embiid leading the squad to playoff glory, and trust me, this man is coming to play. With Harden, who the hell knows? Who the hell knows at this point? But I can say one thing, he's a top 15 player in the league, so you add that with Joel Embiid, who is top 3, top 5, top 1, whatever, is the best odds that we have. So who am I to complain? Okay, so transitioning into the actual playoff matchup itself, the Philadelphia 76ers will face off against the Toronto Raptors in round 1. The first game is this Saturday around 6 p.m., so I hope you have your popcorn ready. As we all know, Philly and Toronto have a history of playoff battles or series that exude so many legendary moments, so you know this is finna be a good one. Shout out to the Raptors fans who have left so many encouraging comments in my latest video. I'm sure you will not do the same here. I truly appreciate your engagement. So I've only been to like Toronto once in my life, and the city was honestly dope, yo. Like, it had a lot of cheap food, a wonderful improv comedy scene. Shout out to the boys at Bad Dog Theater Company, and just an overall nice vibe, yo. Like, I know one thing, it was frigid as hell when I went. Bowls was like legit off Lake Toronto, so it was frigid, make no mistake about it. But it was honestly really a good joint. I stayed downtown, legit a block near the Scotiva Bank Arena. So I have to go back soon, one of these days. And real quick, shout out to my boy Brandon, who I met down in Cancun during spring break 2020, and he lives in Toronto. Hopefully you're watching this video. But let's talk about the Raptors themselves, who have low-key been one of my favorite teams silently over the last few years. Do not revoke my Philly fandom card, sis. I'm just being honest. Like, coming into the actual playoffs, or them coming into the actual playoffs at 48-34 and at the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, not too many people outside of Canada gave them a shot this season. So to say that they overachieved would definitely be disrespectful in my opinion, because yo, these Bulls is like that. They are a team-oriented squad that relies on their defense and monkey energy-laden play. Led by Siakam and Fred VanVleet, the Raptors finished top 10 this season in rebounds, offensive rebounding specifically, turnovers, steals, and defensive rating. Now, if you know me, you know that Nick Nurse is one of my favorite coaches in the league at this point. I used to make the actual joke that he is the real Brad Stevens, as in like Nick Nurse is who Brad Stevens think he is when he coached the Boston Celtics once upon a time. But anyway, looking at the season series against the Sixers and the Raptors, the Raps won convincingly 3-1. Now keep in mind, all these joints were very close games, and it didn't necessarily show the full scope of the team since, you know, no team was fully healthy during these joints, though I will still give credit to Toronto for winning three of them and only having OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet available for one of those games. Expect this series to have some very close heart attack joints. My actual takeaways from the season series is that Toronto comes to play and have a next man up sort of mentality. They low-key remind me of the Heat and Clippers, who are like one superstar away from truly dominating the league. So here's a chart comparing the squads since the All-Star break. I've done the legwork for you to show which team does what better in each category. The Sixers are better in 8 categories according to this chart compared to Toronto 6, even though I don't know what the hell a PITB and FBP are. If anybody knows, please let us know. Please share your knowledge in the comment section. But what stands out to me the most is the actual difference in 3-point percentage. That discrepancy is huge, as well as free throws. So once again, if the Sixers hit their shots, then we really don't have to worry about Toronto's energy play as much. So what are my series predictions? Man, this joint is going to be wild. Let's just say that. But I have the Sixers in about 6 or 7-ish. I honestly really don't know. This joint can honestly go either way depending on whose game of basketball is played. The Sixers have 2 of the top 3 best players in the series, which should ultimately bode well for us. And despite popular opinion and common thought, though Toronto appears to be deep with their bench, they rank bottom 5 along with us in the league for bench points per game. Now, the caveat here is that same bench unit does other things really well, which is something that our Sixer reserves do not. So it is what it is at this point. The bench might help, but it's truly going to come down to the starting 5s. Toronto's starting 5s versus our starting 5, and who dictates the method of play. Besides, if Harden is anywhere near 80% of his former shooting self, with them actual step backs on threes, it's a wrap automatically. But anyway, what are the keys to the Sixers series victory? 1, matching the energy, getting boards, playing scrappy, having dog in us. That is literally Toronto's calling card. You match that, John, everything else will follow suit because we have more talent. 2, keeping the turnovers low. Do not give up the ball because they will have less opportunities to spark offense off of the fast break, because we all know that our transition defense is trash. Toronto's bread and butter is mainly with the post-ups, which they're not really going to be able to do, at least when Joel Embiid is on the floor. So they're going to have to rely on mucking up the actual game, getting steals, turnovers, blocks, and opening up the game fast, which actually goes to my third, John, playing in the actual half court and dictating the pace. The Sixers, we do not want to have a sprint fest with Toronto. Once again, our transition defense is horrible to begin with. If we slow it down and play at our pace, getting the actual nice looks that we want, that should bode well for us. Now, to be, fair and balanced, here is our disadvantages going into the series with Toronto. Obviously, not having Matisse on the road will be killer, and just overall not having him in rhythm during the series, though. And I might be crazy, but I think Danny Green will have fantastic road games during Tice's absence. Like, he already knows Toronto, their courts, and their home crowd. He is comfortable in their arena. Like, I know y'all saw his double-digit performance, like balling out during his ring ceremony a few weeks ago. And the second one is obviously to coaching. All I'm going to say is you better hope Glenn stops being scared and stubborn and actually freaking adjusts when needed. For example, if James Harden's shot isn't falling, but he's still chucking up them joints, it is my personal opinion that we're going to have to give the second, keys to the offense to one Tyrese Maxey, because at the end of the day, he's going to have the best chance to get some looks at the hoop with his driving. I actually saw a stat or something on Instagram where they were saying Tyrese Maxey has the highest field goal percentage near the left side or the right side of the rim in the league this season. That is crazy. The bull doesn't miss layups. So honestly, if James Harden and look, obviously, you're going to have James Harden with the ball, but if it's not going down, bruh, get that John to Maxey, because also no one really has playoff film on him. So why not just do that? And if the experiment with DeAndre Jordan, who I still do not understand why he's still a Sixer, if that joint does not work with when Embiid sits, you may have to go with Paul Reed. Now, that would say that, we would concede speed to Toronto, but, I'm sure Coach Glenn Doc Rivers can settle all of that. I'm already going to concede the coaching to Toronto here. Once again, I love Nick Nurse. That's my boy. So boom, in summary, We honestly only fear Toronto, or many Sixer fans fear Toronto, because they are the masters of what our team truly lacks, or is the antithesis, antithesis. And that's basically it. Like, there's nothing else. They are not some super scary, menacing team. They just play the game the right way and are fundamentally sound. If the Sixers match that and play like they care this series, like they actually give a darn and have some dog, none of this is an issue for real. And once again, the whole X factor here is if Harden is hitting his step back threes, none of this really matters, yo. But speaking of Harden, I'm not really sure what is up with his shot. But with that being said, he's still playing relatively well with what he is doing. His passes are beautiful, and he does facilitate the offense as a maestro would. He's honestly like putting up Benny 1-point stat lines, or like a tad bit better Benny 1-point stat lines without the actual defense, which is honestly problematic because he needs to supplement his lack of defensive prowess somehow. But I'm sure he will figure it out when the ball tips on Saturday. And if not, then I guess we weren't contenders anyway to begin with. So yes, my good people, I have the Sixers in 6 or 7, but it can go either way depending on who shows up. I'm going to leave you with a comment that one of my viewers posted in my last video that sums up my thoughts on the series nicely. I want to thank everybody for pulling up and listening to a brother think. Like, comment, share, subscribe with a Sixers fiend if you feel so inclined. Who do you got winning the series, and in what fashion? I'm going to be live streaming a lot of content this playoff season. Hopefully we get out the first round so I can continue that. We're going to be doing post-game analysis, even pre-game analysis, depending on the schedule. And I'm going to bring my boys with me. I got my boys with me too. So we're going to have fun with that. Be on the lookout for that, John. We're going to try to dip our toes into some new waters. As always, them boys are mad because the process worked. My name is Cain, and I will see you Saturday or next time, depending. Peace.